What's up guys, Jake here with JakesGotHerps, not to be confused with Herpes. Herpes is nasty, and today I'm going to show you guys how to set up a leopard gecko in basically the cheapest way possible. I guess you could save like $1 here or there, but basically this is like the cheapest way you can do it. Now if you guys know, I like setting my cages up really nicely. I like, you know, aquarium tanks that I can set up with a lot of nice decorations, but where I live right now I'm not actually supposed to have reptiles. So when I was bringing them in, I didn't want to bring in a bunch of, you know, big aquarium tanks because those would be pretty obvious that I'm keeping something I'm not supposed to have. So what I did is I brought my rack, and it just looked like a big, like, you know, bookshelf or something, my Antonius rack. So that's what we're going to start with. We're going to start with our container, which is a tub. I'm using, like I said, an Antonius rack tub, and it's pretty nice. I really like it a lot. But as far as our substrate goes, we're going to be using paper towel. You can also use newspaper, but if it gets wet, then it leaves like these marks on the bottom that are really hard to get off. And you would think a leopard gecko wouldn't get the tank wet too much, but my leopard geckos really love to destroy everything and flip over everything. They're actually in the bathtub, or I just drained it, but they're sitting in the bathtub right now because they flip over the calcium and like sit in it all day. So that's nice. But yeah, so we've got the paper towel as our substrate. Now we're gonna move on to hides. Right here we have humid hide. Right now I just have some moist paper towel in it. They can go in there if they're shedding, and it helps them peel the shed off a little bit easier when they're like basically pulling it off of themselves. If I notice that my female is gravid at all, I'll probably switch this with like some Eco Earth, and I plan on going to the pet store tomorrow, so I'll probably end up doing that. But this can just go in the corner there. I like to put it in the warm side because then it, you know, creates more humidity because it's warmer. And then for our other hide, you guys ready for this? We have a little Chinese container. It's like a take-home Chinese container with a lid cut in it, or a lid cut in it, a hole cut on the lid, and we can just set that right, and there we go. Nice little hide for them. And I know these hides look pretty bland, but you know, the leopard geckos, they really don't care. Like they're just gonna hide in whatever. The aesthetic appeal is more for us than it is for them. So if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of you know, money to spend on decorations and stuff, you can just use whatever. You could like I just ran out of paper towel. You could use this paper towel tube if you wanted. Like you could pretty much use anything you want, and if they're not gonna care. Like I said, the aesthetics are just for you mainly, and like when I go home more, I'm probably gonna grab more of my hides and stuff and switch them out. But when I was coming here, I had a lot of stuff to move. I didn't feel like bringing it all, and so you know what, this works perfectly fine though. Next, we're going to need our water dish. So here we go. We've got this little Exoterra water dish here. Just got some clean water in it, and our food dish. We've got some mealworms and some calcium right there, and we can throw that over here. So yeah, there's our setup right there. I didn't do any calculation on how much this actually costs, but if you throw it all together, it's probably under $10, I'd imagine. I mean, you know, the most expensive thing here is probably the water dish or maybe the tub. That food bowl is like it's like a sauce container. So like if you're having like a sauce with whatever kind of food you're eating, you put it in something like that, like barbecue sauce or, you know, whatever else. So yeah, there we go. There is our setup. We can now, obviously, last but not least, we're gonna put our leopard geckos in it. And last but not least, guys, we have our geckos. Of course, the most important part of a leopard gecko enclosure is the leopard gecko. There we've got Jerry right there, just kind of moving around. The way I set this up slightly different from the way they had it, so they're probably just like, yo, what's going on, man? But if you can look closely, you can kind of see he's got like, they have like some white powdery stuff on him. They flipped over the calcium dish and decided that'd be a good idea. So that was really cool. But yeah, there's Jerry, and there's Elaine back there. I got her from David's Fine Geckos, and she is a fine gecko. She's really awesome. I love her like Halloween, or not Halloween, I mean the bandit mask she's got, and that little stripe near her tail is really cool as well. But yeah, so this is their little enclosure. Believe it or not, this is actually sufficient for both of them. It looks a little bit tight simply because this thing takes up a lot of space, but they can go in and hide in it if they choose. And I mainly have them together for breeding purposes. I hopefully will get some of Jerry's offspring here because I've had him for pretty much the majority of my life, and I'd love to have his offspring at some point. I don't know how fertile he actually is, simply because he's very old, but I'm hoping I can have his offspring. I think that'd be really cool. So yeah, this is a really cheap little leopard gecko setup for you guys. Like I said, I'll probably be going back to get my aquariums and some of my other stuff and kind of set it up a little bit nicer in the way that I prefer. But this is actually a perfectly fine setup for these guys. Like I said, they don't they really don't care at all. As long as they have access to hiding places, to the correct temperatures, and obviously food and water, then they're you know, fine with whatever. So yeah, I'll just throw this lid back on and then put them back in there. One also good benefit about the tubs is it actually retains heat really well. Like with an aquarium, you'll have a hot spot, but it'll literally only be hot like right on the ground there, where a tub like this, like when you open up the lid, you'll actually like be able to put your hand in and feel like the warm air, which is kind of cool. It makes it a little bit more natural versus like, you know, like a 90-degree point right here that's hot and then the air is like really cold. So yeah, these tubs actually work pretty well if you guys want a cheaper alternative. So like I said, this is just a nice way you can set your leopard geckos up for, you know, not breaking the bank. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys later. Peace.